Today we're going to talk about inspections. Now there are a couple of different types of inspections, so I'm going to move very quickly through some of these and spend more time on others because I feel like they're more importantly. Okay, so let's get rolling with this. So the first inspection that we're going to talk about are owner move-out inspections. This is obviously when you bring the property on. This is when you do your first initial inspection. You're going to want to try to do take full inventory of everything. This is where you're going to get pictures of the appliances and their brands and their makes and their models of the refrigerator, water filters, air filter sizes, all of this data that you collect that we enter into the system, and then that just remains obviously throughout the notes of the system. So we don't have to keep going back and doing those deeper, more detailed pictures and getting detailed information about things. HVAC systems, this type of thing. Heck, I'll even take pictures of the faucets just so I know what they are. Sometimes the toilets, just so that you've got a good idea of this stuff. So an owner move-out inspection is really to identify things that you feel like need to get the property ready to go so that the owner can get there and address them very quickly. And then it really allows you to take the inventory of the property, and it's a good starting point to really get the property so base level where it stands with everything. Okay? The next one is the new tenant inspection. Now, depending on when the owner has moved out, the new tenant inspection really shouldn't be that long. For example, when an owner moves out, most of the markets that we're in right now, properties are turning very quickly. So you're talking mere weeks before the next tenant moves in or the first tenant moves in. That just to me means you need to go do a fluff inspection, meaning you go through with a broom, sweep up some dead bugs, swipe for dust, and off you go. Doesn't really need to be a whole nother inspection because there isn't anything that has been done since the owner move-out inspection. Okay, so that one should be very quick. The tenant move-out inspection. Now this is the one where it becomes a little bit trickier. So this is the one where we are now justifying security deposits, and we're going to determine who we're going to charge or what we're going to charge the tenant for, and then we're going to ask the owner to pay for based off of wear and tear. This I get. You all are very nervous about this one because you feel like you have to justify it. You've been taught to, this is how I have to justify the money, and I need to be as detailed as I can, and the more pictures I have and the more time I spend, the better that we're going to win the case and the more we can prove. Let me tell you to pause for a second and just think about it this way, okay? First, I would ask you, how many times have your inspections been brought in front of a magistrate and been deemed to be negligent? Probably not very many, certainly not very many that I have heard in any of my offices. So I can't think that there's a lot. Now I get that you are assuming the worst, hoping for the best. Here's the other thing though, is we can't plan for the end of days, and we can't create packages that take all of this long because we're not built to do that. Here's an example. Let's just take an average employee that's a $15 an hour employee, okay? Now that employee is going to go for 2 to 2.5 hours would be my recommendation for a standard inspection for a 3-bed, 2-bath house, pretty standard house. Bigger houses, a little bit longer, I get it. But let's just say it's a 2.5 hour inspection, 30 minutes there, 30 minutes back. So now we're in it for 3.5 hours at $15 an hour. That's almost $60 just in man hours. Not to mention now the gas that it took to get there, right? It took time. It's going to take at least another hour for you to get back, get in the office, get your systems up and running, get all of the paperwork, get it realigned. So now you're spending 5 to 6 hours on any given inspection. At $15 an hour, it puts that inspection charge to the company well over $100. Our management fees on average throughout the company are 10 to 12% of rental income, and let's just say an average rental property is $1,000 a month. So we only made $100 to $120 that month, and we just lost it on the man hours of that inspection. And we lost it on the premise that you are assuming that maybe 1% of the time you're going to get taken in front of a magistrate. So we're doing this for every inspection, for every property, and we're not being taken to court hardly at all. So just think about the bandwidth and the time that the company expends on those, but just remember, you don't have to be quite so thorough, okay? The midterm inspections. Now the midterm inspection really is you're going in there. It shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. In my opinion, shouldn't take more than 30 minutes. By the way, all these inspections should be scheduled long before you go, and the tenant should know when you're going. If the tenant fights you as far as when you can get in there, you give them one chance, and then you just tell them that you're going and that they don't need to be there, that you'll take the key and get in. But don't be wasting your time or your resources traveling out there, being locked out, not available to get into the property, and having to reschedule based on the tenant. We control the narrative. That's how it should be. Our time management is hugely important on this thing. So let's talk about the process of a normal move-out inspection and how that's supposed to look and feel, right? What are those 2 to 2.5 hours? Well, I would say that you go to the property, and a general rule of thumb would be that you begin as you address the property, taking pictures of the outside, the property address, the driveway, and that type of thing. From there, you're going to go inside the property and start taking pictures. Now, I know there are some of us that want to take 400 and 500 pictures to well document this thing. My opinion would that you need to be maybe 100 to 200 pictures tops for these things. Again, we don't have the time, the resources, the bandwidth to be as detailed as we need to be. So I would say you enter the property. Now you're going to want to go through the property inside first and then outside last, so that you don't go through the mud in the backyard and bring all that inside of the property. So you start at the front door, top of the door, panels of the door, doorknob, moving on, entryway. The good rule of thumb is as you go into a property, work your way to the right. So every wall that goes to the right is the wall that you're going to hit. So you know as you work your way around a property, you're going to encompass everything, and then you go upstairs and you keep working your way to the right, right? So go into a room, take a picture of the room from this angle, go to the other corner, take a picture from that angle. I don't think you need a picture of all 4 walls. I think you need to identify problems in there. And that would really be it. You're gonna hit the floor, you're gonna pick a ceiling, and then you kind of move on. Everyone should have some software that they use that will walk them through this. These systems are built to help you step through these processes very easy and efficiently, taking pictures, making notes, so that when you get back to the office, you can compare the old inspection with this inspection. They're relatively syncopated together so that you can move right through that. So guys, full inspections need to be thorough, don't get me wrong. But they also don't need to be proving that you're doing a lawsuit case against a magistrate every single time, because we're not lawyers and we don't get paid like lawyers. We just don't have the bandwidth or the resources to do it. So try to keep your inspection to about 2 to 2.5 hours. And if you need help with that, let me know, let some of the management know, but I think we're all on the same page with that. Don't overthink the process, but be able to justify your charges. Does that make sense? I hope so. Hope you all have a great, great day.